Hello there, lovely. Good morning and welcome to Camnet TV Breakfast Show, where we urge you to rise and thrive this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It is the 6th of June in the year 2024. My name is Josh Mata, and of course, you are watching us live on DSTV and GoTV, as well as Facebook as Camnet TV. Search for the page, like it, and be sure to leave us a comment. We have a lot lined up for you from what happened yesterday, the press conference held by the Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. We will be delving into that and finding out whether at all your expectations were met yesterday. The issues that you gave us yesterday, did he address some of them or all of them? We'll be waiting to hear from you, our dear viewers. The number is on your TV screen. Now, like they always say, your health matters. We go straight into our health corner segment. Join us on the other side.
Hi, welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we are looking at a very interesting topic, and we're looking at polycystic ovarian syndrome. And we've discussed what is polycystic ovarian syndrome and what are some of the causes of polycystic ovarian syndrome. So we say that polycystic ovarian syndrome usually comes about because of increased production of insulin in the body, and this results in the body not responding well to the hormones, the female hormones that are produced, or even not producing enough of these female hormones. And also the body will tend to produce more of the androgens, which are the male hormones, and so you have irregularities in your menses, or even not have menses at all, and you might also have cysts that form in the ovaries. So what are some of the symptoms of somebody who has polycystic ovarian syndrome? Now, there are a number of symptoms that can be able to tell you that you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. Most people who develop this condition would usually see these symptoms a bit early after they start their periods. So it could be somebody who is getting into their 20s who starts experiencing such symptoms. Even though most of the symptoms would be there even before they start their periods, but because you have not yet started your periods, you can't really know that you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So most people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome would have amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea. So they might not have menses regularly. So they might be some months when they are not having their menses. So they might have menses for 3 months and then skip 1 month, or even skip 2 months, 3 months, or even 6 months. So they have what we call oligomenorrhea. Then they may also have symptoms of hyperandrogenism. And so this is where they might experience what we call hirsutism, where they have facial hair, which is most common in men, which we see in men only. But now you find that even women start having facial hairs. They might have a beard or a mustache that develops because of the excess male hormones that are being produced. They may also have alopecia, where their hair is falling out, and so they might have loss of hair in their scalp, so they have a baldness on their head. So these are some of the symptoms that people with PCOS would usually have, apart from having the irregular menses. Then they might also be found to have cysts. When they go to the hospital, they might have cysts. Now, these cysts, when they develop, they might show as a distended abdomen, where somebody has an abdomen that is distended. or having a mass in the abdomen, or they might not. So sometimes they might be so big such that they can be very visible, and other times they are not so visible. So they might have these cysts that form in the ovaries. So these are the symptoms of people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I do hope you have learned something today. Make sure you watch again tomorrow, where we'll talk about the treatment or the diagnosis and how it's treated in the hospital once you are found to have this condition. Make sure that you also watch the other episodes on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much for still joining us. Now that was a presentation by our resident doctor there. Now let's get into our money markets and see how the kwacha is faring or performing against other major convertible foreign currencies. Let's look at the foreign exchange. We begin with the Great British Pound, which is buying at 33 kwacha 25 ngwe and selling at 33 kwacha 91 ngwe. The United States dollar is buying at 26 kwacha and selling at 26 kwacha 53 ngwe. And the euro is buying at 28 kwacha 32 ngwe and selling at 28 kwacha 88 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 37 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 40 ngwe. Now obviously the foreign exchange rate was updated today, the 6th of June in the year 2024 at exactly 07:15 hours. And like we always say, focus will be on how the United States dollar and the kwacha are faring. And you do see that it's now selling at 26 kwacha 53 ngwe, but be rest assured that these foreign exchange rates do vary from bank to bank and from bureau to bureau. But as you get into town, or as you go about conducting your businesses, be rest assured that the kwacha against the dollar is now at 26 kwacha 53 ngwe, still swinging like a pendulum. But this week we have seen it being consistently constant at 26 kwacha. We haven't seen it going to 27, 28 or going or reducing to 25, 26. But you will be coming through obviously to give your submissions regarding the performance of the kwacha. Did the Republican president touch on that yesterday? We want to find out from you, and we begin with a story where Republican President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has called for the arrest of suspected ruling United Party for National Development UPND youths who disrupted public order and allegedly abused citizens on some roads in Lusaka on Tuesday. Now, the president was speaking during a media interaction Wednesday afternoon, and President Hichilema also condemned the police for failing to act independently, stating that they should not wait for instructions from him or the Minister of Home Affairs to arrest offenders. The head of state has revealed that a tribunal to investigate the misuse of public loans intended for public works, such as construction of roads that were not utilized as intended, and the gassing that characterized the country in 2021 will be set up. Interesting story. Let's go on this particular clip. Join us on the other side.
Police, you got my message. I repeat, all those that disturbed, harassed the public, damaged someone's property yesterday, we expect them to be arrested. Those two who are wanting to take us back to the rivers of blood, you will be arrested. Now decided to do a formal investigation who was gassing people, for what reason. I can confirm to you what I said in Kapiri over the launch of Lusaka-Ndola Highway, that a forensic audit is now just being defined nicely, the scope of work, a rolling audit for that matter. We look at Lusaka-Ndola Road, who paid who $30 million, which account did it come from, where did it go, who collected it, what did they use it for, since there was not even 1 meter of the road done. We work harder. The meal price, issues of fuel, they're sitting right in my head every day. I pull them and look at them every day, agonizing, seek expertise, inside, outside.
Republican President there, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Now, moving on, still on that particular story, in case you missed it, or in case you watched halfway and you had other things to do, or you found the briefing had already started and you didn't get one or two things, we are here to refresh your memory and remind you what was discussed or addressed at the press briefing. And also, those questions you gave us, we want to find out on the list that we wrote if some of your concerns, dear viewer, were addressed. We begin. Now, during his address, President Hichilema revealed that Cabinet has proposed to repeal some laws to strengthen punishment for people promoting hatred, tribalism, and division in the country. Number two, the head of state said the proposed amendments will be tabled in the National Assembly once the House resumes sitting. And the president also further said Cabinet has resolved to include lessons on national unity in the school curriculum in order to teach young people on the importance of national unity from an early age. Again, President Hichilema called for the arrest of youths, UPND youths, the story that I just read for you, dear viewers. UPND youths who disrupted public order and verbally abused citizens on some roads in Lusaka yesterday. And he said the police should not wait for instructions from him or the Minister of Home Affairs, yes, to arrest those who break the law. Okay, still moving on, the government has also decided to do a formal investigation on the gassing, on who was gassing people and the reasons behind the criminal act. Furthermore, President Hichilema said he wants the case involving the individual who beat police officers at a police station revived. Okay. The president said violence will not be tolerated in the country and police should not negotiate with thugs but enforce the law of the land. Follow me closely, dear viewer. On the misuse of public loans meant for public works, President Hichilema said he will set up a tribunal to investigate the matter, adding that the draft terms of reference for the tribunal have already been prepared. On national unity, President Hichilema said government discussed with traditional leaders on the need to unite the country and fight corruption. The head of state assured the nation that the UPND government will continue to improve the economy because that is where the solutions are. Banks and pension houses will be engaged so that they come on board in financing the energy mix expansion. This will ensure sufficient capacity to power the country's economic growth ambition. Those are some of the items that were highlighted yesterday during the press conference. But we want to hear from you. Were you fully satisfied? Did the press conference meet your expectations as a Zambian citizen? We want to find out from you. Please come through on the number on your TV screen. You are calling 0973 167 840. 0973 167 840. That's the number that you are dialing so that we can be able to have an interaction. Some of the expectations that you gave us, dear viewers, are: number one, KCM and Vedanta, the mining sector, a general overview, an update on what is happening regarding KCM and Vedanta. Number two, load shedding, measures that are being put in place, short-term measures that are being put in place to ensure that citizens are cushioned from the shocks of load shedding. Number three, the FIC report, corruption, past, present, and future. You gave us this task to highlight some of these questions. Hate speech, ethnicity, espionage, non-bailable offense. This one, we feel the president addressed it when he was talking about some of the laws being reappealed, and cabinet had sat to decide that stiffer punishment should be given to hate speech and issues that have to do with tribalism. This one, number four, the president did address, and we are taking. We move on. Update on the recovery of the Eurobond funds and other similar funds. The president addressed this one. We tick. We move on. Appointment of Foreign Affairs Minister. Remember, we called for the appointment of the Foreign Affairs Minister, saying that one minister can't manage to double being Justice Minister and being Foreign Affairs Minister. Both ministries are involving. And before 18 hours, obviously, a statement was issued by Mr. Clayson Hamasaka, State House communication specialist, and Mr. Mlambo Haimbe, or Honorable Mlambo Haimbe, State Council, was appointed as Foreign Affairs Minister. Remember, he was in that position in acting capacity, but he was appointed yesterday. And Central Province Minister, Honorable Princess Kasune, is the first female Justice Minister. She was appointed Justice Minister yesterday. And in the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, we see Mr. Honorable Collins Nzovu going there. He has been switched from the Ministry of Green Economy to the Ministry of Water, and Honorable Mike Elton Mposha will be going to the Ministry of Green Economy. Come through again, tell us, how do you make of these reshuffles? Obviously, there were mixed reactions to these reshuffles on social media, polarized opinions coming from you viewers out there. But you can come through and give us your submissions, seeing that women are being empowered. First female Justice Minister. Congratulations to Honorable Princess Kasune, obviously. For the men, they've just switched positions, so men will always be men. So anyway, congratulations to the three gentlemen, but big congratulations to Honorable Princess Kasune. It's a win on the female part. On the ladies, it is a win, because she's taking up this ministry as the first female Justice Minister in the history of Zambia. Okay, let's go. We are taking appointment of Foreign Affairs Minister. Free-falling kwacha, mitigation measures. This one, unfortunately, it wasn't touched on. We move on. ZNS, Zambia Army, ZAF, Zambia Police, Zambia Correctional Services, State Farms, an update on State Farms. How many farms do our defense wings have, or how many farms have they acquired, so that we can be able to prepare in case we have a poor pattern of rain for this season. This one wasn't touched on. Defunct State House media, any changes? There have been concerns obviously coming from members of the public and those governance activists suggesting that there's need to resuscitate communication. But the president did touch on communication. He did talk about communicating what his administration is doing. And the onus obviously is what we tend to call the nerve center, where agenda setting should be made obviously at State House. And the media, the president did talk about communication, but his media personnel, he didn't touch on that. So we requested that this be addressed as well. Skyrocketing commodity prices, any measures being put in place? This one as well. We submitted obviously, and we go to industrialization, closed industries, Mlungushi Textile, Kawe Industrial Fabrics, Kafiwa Textiles, Kapili Glass Factory Industries being revived. Are we going to see that? Gamma Pharmaceuticals or GPL, these were companies that were privatized in the past, in the early 1990s. Are we seeing them being revived or similar companies coming to life? Industrialization wasn't on the agenda, so we move on. Law reforms. The president did touch on law reforms, obviously. He talked about reappealing some of the laws and amending some of the laws that discriminate against people regarding hate speech and tribalism. Poor performance of the economy measures. Okay, now this one was touched on partially, and obviously it came at the end where the head of state talked about. But finally, let me talk about the economy and yeah. Labor laws. This one, it was a request that came from one of our viewers, Mr. Isaac Chileshe from Garden. Obviously, Mr. Chileshe, you are tuned in and you listened to the entire press conference like I did. Please come through and give your submissions when it comes to labor laws. Okay. Okay, so those are some of the items that we had and what that we requested obviously to be addressed. The onus is on you. I know Matias Banda from Kabanana, Mr. Matias Banda from Kabanana came through yesterday and talked about youths feeling neglected in this administration. Was that addressed? Youths, the only issue that was addressed regarding youths, it's that of unruly youths, UPND youths that went to bury their colleague and obviously abused motorists on the road, and the president wasn't too happy with that, and he talked about that. But as regards youths feeling neglected, I didn't hear the president addressing that. Opposition arrests as well. The president talked about, in fact, there's a headline in one of the daily tabloids, dear viewers. Let's go to this particular interesting headline, something that obviously the president talked about during the press briefing. And yes, it comes from the News Diggers, a daily tabloid. And the headline reads, Lungu will be arrested soon if he keeps breaking the law. Immunity does not cover him. Yes, the president did say this, and those that watched the briefing, the press conference, I'm sure you can attest to the fact that these words were uttered. Lungu will be arrested soon if he keeps breaking the law. Immunity does not cover him. Yes, immunity only covers a former head of state while they are in office, and the things that they committed while in office. In case somebody broke the law as a head of state when they were in office, immunity covers them. When they leave office, what they do outside them not being president, outside the office of the president or presidency, they are on their own. They can be prosecuted for that. So there was clarification from that, and the law is clear obviously on this one. Okay, so that's one of the items that the president talked about when it comes to opposition arrests. Mr. Banda, who came through yesterday, requesting that this should be tabled. Hate speech as well. Um, we had our viewer coming through also talking about this and the law, that the law should be applied equal. I think the president did speak to the fact that the police shouldn't wait for him to issue instructions, or the minister of home affairs to arrest an individual. Individuals should be arrested when they break the law. And those UPN youths who conducted themselves unruly during a burial procession of their colleague should be arrested, according to the head of state. Now, we are waiting for your calls, obviously, to come through, and you can also interact with us on our Facebook page, Camnet TV. Let's go to this story as we wait for you to come through, obviously, and give your submissions on this matter, especially the press conference that took place yesterday. We want to get your submissions. Remember, we talked about the appointment of the foreign affairs minister. It happened yesterday. We talked about the president not addressing the nation for 5 straight months. The last time he addressed the media was in December. We talked about that yesterday. 14:30 hours it took place. So we do have a caller. Let's hear from Vacheleshe. Vacheleshe, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vacheleshe. How are you?
I'm alright, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Were you satisfied with the press conference yesterday?
I think I can say out of 100, it's 70.
Make it 10. Out of 10. Out of 10.
So out of 10, it's 7.
Why 7?
Yeah, so like you have listed some of the things that we felt that these are closer to our heart. Most of them were not tabled. I think because I was moving, I didn't hear him touch about the disturbing report of the FIC.
No. He didn't touch on that.
I'm yet to be collected if that was tabled, because I was moving, so sometimes I wasn't getting it.
No, it wasn't tabled.
Talk of the labor matters. Look, Joe, to be honest, I'm sure you journalists, you have tried and find out on how this ministry is doing. This ministry is only because it has the way of covering themselves to say, no, we are doing this, we are doing this, we are doing this. But when you go on the ground, that ministry is totally different from how people are supposed to be treated.
Okay.
I'm sure the social media ran a story of that Chinese who was beating the young ladies. Up to now, we have not received any report on how they have treated that company. So these are the things that we feel it has to be tabled once and for all. I'll give you an example on many fallers. The younger drivers and the riders have tried to go and negotiate with the government to say, look, we are being exploited by this company called Yango. When they started, these guys, I think the percentage, deduction percentage rate, the commission was, I think, 11%. They have moved from 11 to 26% of any order. When it's 18 kwacha, you find that they are going to deduct 7 kwacha, 9 kwacha. So that rider, the whole day, will end up having nothing. Okay? So when you talk of this, the way the president came out strong on people that are dividing this country, the hate speech, the tribalism, we want him to come out strongly to say, I have heard a lot of calls from the people on how you investors are treating Zambian people. Let the interest of the Zambian be first before our investors. I think one of them, Yango, has exploited the Zambian people. It's something, it's sad. You are in the media, you can find out on how these guys are suffering. Kudos to him to come out strongly to the House where he belongs, who are the UPND. Wajo, it doesn't matter whether you are a UPND or a socialist. The way he said it, if you
but Vachileshe,
yes,
just on that one,
yes,
my question, if I had an opportunity to be invited to that press conference, my question would have been, how are these youths going to be identified? Because we know how politicians work. These are the same youths that were being used in the PF. These are the same youths that the UPND is using. And how are they going to be identified? To say, this is the youth that misbehaved, that's the youth that misconducted themselves. How are they going to be identified? That's my question.
It's simple. Let me.
Hello? Okay, seems like Vachileshe is gone after that particular question. Please come back and give us your submission. How are these youths going to be identified? Yes, we know they are taken from bus stations, markets, where politics is played. But now, how are they going to be identified? To say this one misconducted themselves, this one is the youth that abused motorists verbally on the road. How are they going to be identified? That's a question that we beg answers to. Vachileshe, network issues, welcome back.
Yeah, so it's very simple, Joe. Let's not beat around the bush. Look, those cadres, as much as they behaved, they are the leader. Let's be honest with each other here. They are the leader. Who booked that, those minibuses? Who paid for fuel money? And who paid? Because we know that they are not just there for free. So, if we are honest with each other, let's sit around the table, whether it's in the corner, and say, guys, look, we organized this, and this is the outcome. So next time, let's ensure that we tell our cadres, whether we are going to the funeral, to the wedding, wherever, any function, to say, let's
Mr. Chileshe,
for other people.
Mr. Chileshe.
If I tell you today, me, I move and find what is happening.
But before you go there, Mr. Chileshe,
yes.
Before you go there, the president talked about arresting, not cancelling the cadres, arresting, so that they are detained in police cells. He talked about arresting. My question is, how are they going to be identified? Because those cadres, we know that they do not come from one location. They come from different locations. Yes, they had a leader. That leader, you telling me, is going to say, let's begin to look for those cadres, and we allow the police to arrest them. How are they going to be arrested? That's a question that begs answers, Mr. Chileshe.
So there are videos that are circulating, Wajo.
Are you able to identify them? Are you able to identify them?
And the police should have this video in their fingertips. So whoever is in that video, let them be arrested. That's what we need to do.
But let's move on. Issues of load shedding. Did the president address the issues that have to do with load shedding? I heard him talking about metering on Friday. Cabinet is going to meet. Then excessive, not excessive, but he talked about he uses more power than he needs at his home. So that extra energy has to be connected into the grid, but the system is still being worked on, something like that. Yes.
That is a long-term measure, but the calling from the Zambian citizen is let them buy power for now that can help us maybe even for 6 months. Simple.
Okay.
Those, technologies they want to bring, yes, they can bring them later on or while we are in the process, but people, what we are saying, the 12 hours of load shedding is too long.
Okay.
And when you look at the way business are operating in these compounds, it's something else.
Okay.
So the calling by us, the citizen, is let them buy power the way they are selling power to our colleagues outside, because they are calling life-saving power. So even us, we want life-saving power because our lives are at stake.
And Mr. Chileshe,
Yes, sir.
wait. When the president went to one of our neighboring countries in the name of Tanzania, UPND media pages were littered with headlines saying that Zambia will start importing power from Tanzania. I didn't hear the president talk about that. I didn't hear him give an update to say we've signed an MOU with this neighboring country, or we are going to acquire so much power or energy from our neighboring countries that have shut down 3 of their generating source of power because they have too much power, if you like. I didn't hear that being addressed yesterday. All I heard was if you have you need solar panels to be installed on your houses, then if you have extra power, it has to be connected into the grid. And you're talking about, you are referring to that as long-term measures. The Zambians are looking for short-term measures. Vaccination.
Look, Rajo, if you look at the issue of solar, me, I argue, based on my knowledge,
Okay.
These solar power, as at the moment, these are not cheap. Some of them are not even in this country. People like Chileshe doesn't even know how to Google on Alibaba and bring those solar. Even they have removed the tax there. So let us be honest here. How many people who have been sensitized by the government to say, actually, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. These are the platforms so that you can buy solar from Alibaba is cheaper. So that's what I said. Those are long-term measures. What we need for now, let the government find something that will sustain people in a short term, like buying power, importing power from somewhere, and boost our electricity. That's what we are calling for. Like the way he's saying, we are trying to work on modalities on the issue of the fuel and the like. The cause by the people is that let the president see how they can channel some money into importing power. The way they are giving power to our colleagues. That's what we need. Then let's continue teaching people. You remember the president said, you the media, I think it was from the ZNBC to say, you the media, I think you have seen this on the table because ZNBC you work with the government. Maybe you are not doing enough to sensitize people to say, actually there is this and there is that. So let's move in. Because
Mr. Chileshe,
being in the head of the people.
Mr. Chileshe,
Yes,
on the media, how can the media work effectively and efficiently when we know what happens? Some media houses are left on purpose. Even during the press conference, some media houses were left. So how can we communicate? We need factual information. You need to be there to report effectively and efficiently and ask pertinent questions that boil down the lives of the people of Zambia. So how can we communicate effectively if, for instance, just going to Minasoko, for instance, one media house is carried. So
yeah, so
if going on presidential trips, only maybe the public media houses are taken, then private media houses are left. So how do you expect the media to operate independently, effectively, and efficiently, and communicate to the Zambian people if they selective when carrying who's supposed to go with the president, for instance, or attend a press conference?
This is, I think, one of the appeal that we citizens we need to put forward.
Okay.
Because information has to be everywhere. If the public media have the information, let also the private media have got the information, the truthful information for that matter, so that because we listen to the different platforms, so that we have the proper information. This is the reason why I am saying with that.
Okay. Congratulations. Okay. We seem to be having network problems with Mr. Chileshe. But Mr. Chileshe, please, I know you are watching, please come through and let's have that conversation. Mr. Chileshe has weighed in on, obviously, his observation. He has submitted what took place yesterday and what he observed yesterday during the press conference. Yes, the issues that have to do with the media were touched on. The president talked about communicating, but there have been some concerns from members of the public in different sections of society that his media team also, the media team that is stationed or resident at State House, need to up their game. They need to be updating us as and when information is being done. For instance, the cabinet meeting that took place the day before yesterday, we only heard it during the press conference. We didn't hear it from the media team. We move on. Let's go to former Zambia Air Force ZAF Commander Eric Chimese has told the Economic and Financial Crimes Court that his farm is not tainted property. We do have this report. Let's go on this particular report. Join us on the other side.
Former Zambia Air Force Commander Eric Chimese has told court that he acquired his farm through clean means and that it is not a process of crime. The retired ZAF boss tells court that his farm was acquired and built on a fair value, contrary to the alleged amount of the current market value suggested by the state. In this matter, Director of Public Prosecutions Gilbert Piri filed before the court to forfeit to the state properties allegedly belonging to Mr. Chimese on grounds that they are process of crime. The total market value of the properties which the state want forfeited is 91,400,000 kwacha, which includes a property situated in Ibex Hill, a farm in Eureka Baobab area, among others. But in an affidavit in opposition to the originating notice of motion for an application for a non-conviction based forfeiture order of tainted property, Mr. Chimese explains that he is the owner and proprietor of a farm in Eureka Baobab area, one of the properties subject to the proceedings. In his arguments submitted by his lawyers, Messias Mayembe legal practitioners, Chimese argues that regarding the alleged offense of abuse of authority, the state has not produced any evidence to show the absence of the employees. He also argues that there is no evidence showing that he bought one of the properties subject to the forfeiture from Cheetah Lodges Limited. In relation to the Eureka property, retired General Chimese submits that the property was acquired and built on a fair value and indicates that it is not a tainted property. He says the only issue that remains to be determined is whether the family can afford to possess such a property. He also submits before court that in trying to prove that the Chimese family cannot afford to build such a property, the applicant has produced a valuation report of the current market value of the property and not the materials used to build the property at the time it was built. He concludes by arguing that the court cannot tell him how much was truly spent when building when the state have not produced before court how long it took him to build the property subject to forfeiture. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Okay, thank you so much for still joining us. Now, obviously, that's a story coming through from our local courts, and there you are able to see former ZAF commandant, Lieutenant Chimese there. Okay, now moving on, the socialists also want to weigh in on the press conference that took place yesterday, and we have their national youth spokesperson, Mr. Stanley Mugwata, on the line. Comrade, good morning.
Good morning, Comrade Joe. How are you? And good morning to the Zambians out there.
Okay, I'm fantastic. I don't know about the Zambians, but let's get into it. Yesterday, President Hakainde Hichilema did have a press conference where he talked about a number of issues. Let's begin. What were some of the highlights of that particular press conference, Comrade?
Well, I think the biggest issue for me is the issue where he scratched on the issue to do with the load shedding. I think load shedding has been a big issue, and yesterday we expected that maybe we were going to be given a clear direction of what was going to happen, and also to be told how long the solution is going to come regarding this issue of load shedding. But away from that also, remember that there was a ministry called the Small Medium Enterprise created to beef up small businesses that Zambians are running, to try and help them. But in a case like this one where we have serious load shedding, I think the ministry also has not done much. So I expected that maybe the president and the minister also was going to give direction and also figures and numbers of how many of our friends who are running businesses have been assisted. Because running a business, if you say you are running a salon, a barber shop, a butchery, or any small business that requires you to use energy, it simply means they're making a lot of losses. So are these loans that they've been telling us through that ministry, are they getting down to the people? Have they subsidized these small businesses? And the truth, Joe, of the matter is that that is not there. So that ministry also there has not done what was supposed to be done. We supported the creation of that ministry. It was a good initiative, but I think its purpose has not been realized.
What's lacking, Comrade? You wanted the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises, Honorable Elas Muwanga, to give us the figures. How many businesses, for instance, have been given soft loans, if you like, from the ministry to cushion them during this load shedding era that we are into? Okay.
So we did not get that, and like I keep saying, we cannot just be here to be condemning. I don't believe in condemning myself. I believe in providing solutions. So these are the suggestions that I'm proposing, because I know to say all of us come from small businesses. Our mothers, our parents, our sisters, our brothers survive from there. And those small businesses have created a lot of jobs, more than jobs in government. The informal sector plays a very critical role in sustaining our homes. And even when you look at the way the businesses are run in markets, a lot of us young people have been employed through those initiatives. Therefore, there is need for a lot of support going through, being channeled to such initiatives. And we need to support government also. We can advise them. We can also suggest ideas which we think can work. But at the end of the day, it is also up to them whether they see it as being workable or not. So that is my take.
Okay.
But I don't know, Joe, if you have a question for me on these issues. Maybe I can consider I highlight another issue.
Before you highlight another issue, there has been a concern from members of the public that some of the pertinent, pressing issues that an ordinary Zambian is actually experiencing at this moment were not adequately touched on. For instance, on the Copper Belt, the issues that have to do with KCM, government, and Vedanta. Members of the public wanted an update. Are our brothers and sisters on the Copper Belt going to be finally employed through KCM and Vedanta. And also the report of 61 billion kwacha that was detected by the FIC. But we didn't hear much about that particular report, comrade. So these are some of the issues that the Zambian people want to be addressed. They gave us these submissions yesterday, and some of them were not touched on, comrade.
I almost forgot. I read about the suspected, they detected 61 billion kwacha by FIC. But let me first of all begin by touching on issues of copper belt.
Okay.
I think we have been talking about the issues surrounding matters of the mines for a long period now. And hopes have been raised, hopes were raised for months. Even now, the hopes still keep being raised. But when you go to copper belt, for instance, some of us with friends who are working there, they are always telling us to say they have not had their salaries increased. Up to now, they are still poorly paid. Even when they were promised that salaries now will be increased, nothing has happened. And by the way, Joe, there are some of them that have even been given forced leave.
Okay.
Yes, there is such a story. I got this story just last week. They were given forced leave, and some of them they've been told, wait a bit, we're going to call you again.
Okay.
And these are stories which are there. They truly need to be investigated upon, so that we get to the bottom of these issues, so that we get to help our colleagues who are affected. Because we cannot be told that things are now way on the copper belt. When some of our brothers are being pushed away and they're being told to go now, when we are celebrating here in Lusaka that, so that is it. And then the issue of detection of such resources, corruption has been President Hichilema's favorite word. I think if we were to count it, how many times he mentioned this word since he formed the government, it would tick the most.
Okay.
But to begin hearing stories of such detection from FIC, we begin getting worried. And to have the president finish the entire press briefing, not even gathering courage to talk about it, or even pointing fingers at some of his individuals that he is well informed, because he's told us he's got informants, and we know that the president is the most informed human being in this country.
True.
He's got people in WhatsApp groups, so the president surely has not been informed even through WhatsApp groups of some of his members who are allegedly involved in corruption to even discipline him. Is he sure he's got those informants in the WhatsApp groups? Even the OP officers, are they saving him if they can't tell him to say Bwana Wakawala la mu UPND mukoma yanu bapaga bachita so na so? We personally expect that the fight against corruption, when you want to discipline people, you discipline with those, you begin with those that are around you. That's when they will see the seriousness. Like this is why even when he says his government is harsh on corruption, they are saying, no, you are just persecuting and you are just being a personal, it's a personal vendetta that you have against the PF. Because he has not demonstrated, Joe, he has not demonstrated, we can't massage this, he has not demonstrated to throw behind the cells or bars some of his people that have been erring. For instance, even the issue of Mandevu Rally, where his cadres were wielding pangas, jumping on top of a bus like a frog, jumping up and down, threatening people with violence, none of them has been arrested. They are very free. To this very day, they are walking the streets of Lusaka. To this very day, when you go to this Findeko house, me, I stay near Findeko house. There is this buffed up boy who is UPN. He's busy insulting people and is collecting a revenue in the name of the party, and nobody can dare talk to him. Nobody can stop him. All those Vajavandoni bakiri na mamotoka, abalekiri na mamotoka, abale washefya kuwasha muri abale pila mateni kwacha ma 15 kwacha na ma 20 kwacha.
Are you telling us, Mr. Amuwata, using your journalism background and your investigative skills, obviously, that Kadarism is finally back on the streets of Lusaka?
It's in fact, it has become rampant. I normally, this week I've been down, Joe, I've been sick. So the previous 2 weeks, I normally, when I want to have my clothes, designed, rechanged, because you know I'm short, so I can't just get a trousers, every trousers, and I get fit. So I'm going to each episode trousers, which in Kwaneko feature, so I must be my height. So I normally go to Kamwara. When I go to Kamwara, I have my clothes changed from there and tailored from there. And what I'm getting from Kamwara there, I wouldn't want to mention names for fear of people being harassed there. But our women, our marketeers, our tailors are telling me every time I go there that they are seriously being harassed, and they are also being made to make a certain contribution. The other time, I had to make a contribution myself amounting to 5 kwacha to an individual who came troubling these people tailoring and said, they are calling it Yumuturo now. Then I wondered, they started looking, I said, so what is this that is going on? Then I was told, they are making us pay. That and like I've mentioned, when you go to Findeko House, today just on the down floor there, Street Mukaenda, you will find what I'm telling you, it's still happening. Now we fear because some of us have been noticed by the general public.
Comrade, the president yesterday talked about if Kadas, he urged the police to act independently, not to wait for instructions from him or the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, that whoever breaks the law should be and must be arrested and taken into custody by the police. And he said, maybe, just maybe, he doesn't need your vote. If you're going to be violent, if you're going to abuse motorists, citizens in town or wherever, maybe he doesn't need your vote in 2026. So the law has to take its course. How do you look at those remarks, Comrade?
Let's just be honest. Joe, I've dealt with politicians for quite some time.
Exactly.
Let me be honest. Please. Politicians are the worst pretenders. Politicians are the worst liars. There are very few decent politicians who we can call decent. Sometimes even calling them decent is abusing the word, because they don't deserve to be called decent human beings. These are people who lie without shame. They lie for fun. We lie for fun. And it is very sad that even some of us, young as we are, we join a path of politics. And now we are considered as liars. So it's difficult to come out of this perception, because you have already been labeled as liars. And for sure, yes, politicians are liars. Most of the times, it's a situation where those with power, or when they have power, they do what they want to do without regard for the law. I'll give you a practical example. We have got a case of, for instance, those colleagues of ours, our brothers, on the southern province part of this country, who were threatening, who used very, very, very progressive statement, threatening violence, inciting violence. We all know them that they are UPND youths. If there is truly rule of law, by now those people should have been arrested. There are many other young people of the UPND that have been threatening, issuing certain sentiments.
How about those in Northwestern Province as well that issued derogatory remarks and palatable language towards the former head of state and obviously his supporters? Those non-youths in Northwestern Province, I didn't hear that being addressed yesterday.
Up to now, we have not heard of anyone being arrested. And it does not matter whether we agree with former President Lungu, or we don't agree with him. What is important is that was he abusing at that particular time? Yes. If President Hichilema himself is abused at that level, should we be there to stand for him, that those abusing him or insulting or threatening violence against him should be arrested? Yes, we must be there, because what is wrong is wrong. Whether it's done against ECL, it's done against HH, all of us must stand up and demand that those people be treated the same way before the law.
Okay.
Not because bachitaso batukwana HH bafuna menya HH chikondema. Batukwana etiga ndiye perinya mukamanje tifuna mae nomba mange apo nchitikangiwa.
Okay.
So the issue of equal treatment before the law is not here. It's barren, it's far from reality. Before being here, if I did what those people did, I will be smoked and I will be arrested immediately. So when we look at those issues, that is why people are finding it very difficult to trust the system. And
Are we seeing,
themselves.
comrade, are we seeing selective application of the law here? Is this what is at play here?
Let me just use the Inspector General Police's statement. According to the news diggers yesterday, he says they deny opposition members of political parties to hold rallies because he fears that we may be attacked by the UPND, meaning the UPND is violent, but also confirming that there's been selective application of the law. If it is them, they go ahead. If it is us, we can't be given the same security as to give an excuse. So
but comrade, the UPND came on a ticket of upholding the rule of law. And the president yesterday did make reference to 2015 where he said he believes, get me clearly, and these were his words. He said he believes the UPND won elections in 2015, the by-election, presidential by-election. Then he went on to say, in 2016, we believe we won that particular election. Now, of the two elections, both elections rather, he said his cadres went to him and said, we need to go to the streets. We need to demonstrate. Then he told them, no, violence is not the way to go. 2015 passed. 2016, the general election. The same thing, he says he believes the UPND won the election. The cadres came to him, let's go to the streets, we need to demonstrate. He told them, let us not demonstrate. And if you remember, in opposition, the UPND were always said to be the victims. They were always attacked by the PF. The PF always attacked them, the PF always provoked them, and the like. They are in the driving seat. The Zambian people thought this would be the time for the UPND to put things correctly and set this country on a path of reconciliation, healing, such that politics is made attractive to the young people, is made attractive to the women out there, and insults, arrests are no longer there, and people are able to engage in politics and debate, an avenue for ideas, for debates. But I think we are seeing a repetition of what used to happen, comrade.
That is what is there. So, President Ichilema will always portray himself as a peaceful man. But for my case, in my situation, I do not know, Joe, if you remember that I once worked with the UPND.
I'm aware. I'm fully aware.
So, I don't think I can be fooled or I can be cheated by anyone in the UPND that they're a peaceful organization. No.
Okay.
It's a lie, because I know of certain individuals I would be in their midst and will be told, if you are attacked, beat them. If you see them coming, beat them. And these sentiments were being issued not by junior members of the party, no, but by senior members of the party.
Okay.
Not just a commoner. Senior members of the party telling you that, to say here, if you are going to take it casual, nothing is going to happen. Use whatever you have also. Already they are inciting violence. So if somebody tells me UPND is not violent,
okay. Comrade, let's go to the issues that have to do, some of the discussion points that we thought, after asking obviously members of the public and our viewers out there, some of the submissions that they gave. Mr. Banda Matias from Kabanana talked about you, the young politicians, the older politicians, or the senior politicians, if you like, who have a tendency of using youths on their way to political office. Then after that, youths are discarded or neglected. Now, there have been concerns within the file and rank of the UPND that the foot soldiers, the youths, have been neglected. They are languishing in the streets, and there are no opportunities coming their way. So the question to you as a young politician is, why do you, young politicians, allow yourselves, or youths rather, why do you allow politicians to take advantage of you? Once they make it to the top, they avoid your cause, they avoid your WhatsApp text messages, they ignore you when they meet you in public, they do not even want to associate with you. Why do you allow them? Don't you ever learn as young people and young politicians?
My brother, what has caused most of this thing to keep growing in this manner, and it is not only happening under the UPND, by the way. It happened in previous governments before, and we cannot blame it on the UPND. This thing has been happening for years and years. Poverty is a major cause of this.
Okay.
No matter how educated you may be or how knowledgeable you may be, when your stomach is empty, you have nothing, you have no food, you have no survival means elsewhere. You begin doing the same wrong things that you despise because you want to be given something in order to survive. You will be shocked that even some of those young people who carry pangas, that a good number of them, nobody sends them, but they do so because they want to prove a point to their masters, their paymasters, that they are working.
Okay.
So as a result of that, they will portray to prove that we are working so that their master can give them some resource. This has to be something that has to be an exercise intentionally taken through by a political party internally. But I'll be very honest with you that a lot of politicians are selfish. They don't want to empower a young person in order to have an independent income. They want you to continuously depend on them because that's when they'll be able to use you. So immediately empower this young person. For example, my brother, to be honest with you, in the UPND has got some of the most vibrant young people who fought hard for them in opposition. Today I still see them. I'm suffering together with them. Sometimes we eat together, sometimes I visit them, they visit me. And I feel bad that these people that worked day and night, they have not been given any chance to live a decent life. No empowerment. And we are not saying they must be just given to UPND supporters, no. This also goes on to demonstrate that the feeling is the same among young people who have been hoping to be given opportunities by this administration. Because if people within the party are complaining, what more outsiders? Then the problem is bigger. So these are the issues leading to these issues. It simply tells you that there is a lot of work that has to be done. But as it is in politics, you will hear people saying, no, politics, we are kupanga drama, good and drama, Africa time yokudia. And this perception is bad. This is why we are producing more criminals than leaders in this country. More thieves than leaders. And we keep electing thieves and leaders. And we why are we not?
Why has that been the case, comrade? There has been concerns from some sections of society, governance experts, political enthusiasts, young politicians, veteran politicians, that Zambia seems to be maintaining the same team seemingly, but only changing replica jerseys, if you like, from green to red, from red to white, from white to purple, maroon, or whatever. Why has that been the case?
It's like every sector that you enter has got the cartels that hold on to certain sectors.
Okay.
For instance, those that are involved in gold dealing, they know the bosses who are involved in gold dealing. Those that are in drug trafficking, human trafficking, there are business gurus involved in that. So if you join them, you can't just join them without their approval. They must be the ones, they are the big dogs, they are the ones to decide who goes and who doesn't, who trades and who doesn't.
Okay, so comrade, just kindly move away from where you are. Your voice sounds muffled. Just kindly move away from where you are. Then we can take it from the top.
Hello?
Just kindly move away from where you are. Okay. Now we can take it from the top. You are saying?
Yeah, I'm saying it's like we have got cartels in every sector. The same way it happens where you have drug lords who control drugs, the businesses involved, those who control these serious businesses. I mean, even in politics, there are some individuals who are the so-called godfathers or big dogs who decide who to include and who can't be included. And so they have made their network so big so that it's almost impossible that politics can go ahead, leadership can proceed without them. Even when they have not done anything or they have nothing to offer. Because they have made their big names and they have made their roots, they have to continue being there. And in the end, they decide, they call the shots. Who does it and who can't do it? Who gets in and who can't get in?
Okay.
And because of that, there is that cartel of individuals. The same way it happens in businesses. There are certain businesses which you can't do it, which you have got the capacity to run. Because you are not part of that cartel, you won't do it, Joe. You won't. So they insulate themselves. And for us as young people, generally, noble Zambians, we need to go back and learn from our forefathers, those who served in the unit. Those people were human indeed.
So how do we identify, for instance, comrade, how do we identify selfless leaders like those that we had in the UNIP era? How do we identify selfless leaders?
I don't believe that for you to make a contribution, you must have power. I believe that for you to make a contribution, you must begin to make a contribution without anything. Where you are, begin showing, begin doing what is right for your country. Do, even just from home. I tell people, leadership does not start from Chipin, Chipolisi, Chipun, no. Where you are at home, provide leadership. In a community, provide leadership. No? Provide solutions there. That is what is important. Whether you make it to a top or you don't, at least be of your society. That is it. Consider.
Okay. Comrade, we need to let you go. Your final and last words on this particular interview.
Well, I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and I will just challenge my colleagues all over, all of us as Zambians. Let us not waste our time hoping that there is a human being that is going to come and tell us. Let us all put ourselves in the forefront. Where you are, look at yourself as a solution provider, as a leader. Begin providing solutions to people around you, to people in your community. Make sure you make a contribution.
Okay. Comrade Stanley Mbata, thank you so much for having joined us on this particular platform.
Most grateful.
Okay. So there you have, viewers. That was Stanley Mbata. He is the National Youth Chairperson for the Opposition Socialist Party, headed or led by Comrade President Fred Membe. Okay, thank you so much. Now let's go and find out what you, the viewers, are saying. Let's read some of your messages and just find out what your submissions are. Okay, we begin. Okay. Kaku G-Man says, don't trust UPND. Isaac Chileshe, Mr. Isaac Chileshe comes through and says, the MP, ministers, directors do not give the president truthful information. It's just on paper. Mr. Isaac Chilesha again comes through and says, ZESCO and UPND government, what is your immediate plans to end or reduce load shedding? Number one, we can't continue like this. We can't continue like this and allow load shedding become normal. ZESCO engineers should not be getting money for managing load shedding. Let them resign so that we can have people with new ideas to stop load shedding. This message continues. Okay, Zambian people elected you to provide solutions and not to create more problems like load shedding. To our MPs, mayors and councillors, you are voted to speak and provide solutions. Stand up and tell your government. This load shedding is killing businesses and making people's lives difficult. I submit. That's from Mr. Isaac Chileshe from Garden there. Kuku Jiman comes through and says, let the president fulfill his campaign promises than always talking about Lungu. I was sure it's very shameful. From Griffan Kakumbi of Solwezi. Okay, he calls himself Kuku Jiman. Griffan Kakumbi from Solwezi. Thank you so much, Bantu Baswa Mema from Solwezi there. Ronnie Mwetwa says, we are proud of him. We need all those with tribalism mind to learn. He's proud of President Hakainde Hichilema there. Ronnie Mwetwa. Thank you so much, Mr. Mwetwa. Mr. Joseph Ngoma comes through and says, how many times are we going to hear this? Now it's 5 years. It's just mere talking. Okay, those are some of your submissions on our Facebook page. Thank you so much for coming through. Quickly, we get into our last stories, then we'll be wrapping it up, dear viewers. And obviously, this has to do with court matters, where the Lusaka Magistrate Court has granted bail pending trial to opposition Christian Democratic Party President Danny Pole and Lumezi Independent Member of Parliament Munia Zulu following their 8 days detention for charges of seditious practices. We do have a clip, but before we go on that particular clip, we do have another story. They'll run concurrently. Let's go on those two clips. When we come back on the other side, we'll be taking in your calls and reading your text messages. Please do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The alleged disappearance of Independent Petauke Central Member of Parliament Emmanuel Jeje Banda in unclear circumstances in recent weeks did not only catch the country's citizen by surprise, but fueled the arrest of political figures known for their commentaries. Among them, Forum for Democracy and Development leader Edith Nawakwi, Munia Zulu, Maureen Mawonga, and civil rights activist Brebna Changala for seditious practices contrary to Section 57, subsection 1b, as read together with Section 60, subsection 1b of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. After spending 8 days in the freezing cells of prison, the Lusaka Magistrate Court has granted bail pending trial to Dr. Danny Pule in the sum of 150,000 kwacha in on recognizance after Dr. Pule's lawyer Jonas Simba made an application for bail pending trial, prompting Lusaka Principal Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya to do so and setting trial date as 7th June 2024. Meanwhile, Munia Zulu has been granted 250,000 bail in on recognizance with 2 working sureties in the like sum before Lusaka Magistrate Friday Samundu, with trial commencing on the 17th, 18th, 19th and 21st June 2024. Both the Christian Democratic leader and Lumezi lawmaker have been ordered to surrender their passport to the clerk of court. Last week, Nawakwi, civil rights activist Brebna Changala, Lumezi Independent Member of Parliament Munia Zulu, his Mfue counterpart Maureen Mawonga, and Christian Democratic Party President Danny Pule were arrested on allegations of hate speech and seditious practices before the state charged them with espionage, which were later dropped. Monia Zulu is facing 3 counts of seditious practices on allegations that on May 26, 2024 and May 27, said Wades quoted before court as the West of the Patriotic Front. We never saw a member of Parliament's residence being burnt down. You at your best, member of Parliament, has disappeared. At your best, at your methodical, a house has been burnt, and we know there is a list, among other words, with intent to cause discomfort in the country. Ms. Nawaki was Tuesday granted 100,000 kwacha bail by Lusaka Principal Resident Magistrate Irene Wishimanga, while Mr. Changala was bailed on Monday by Lusaka High Court Judge Geoffrey Mlenga unconditionally. But informed Member of Parliament Maureen Mabonga remains in prison as her bail pending trial application hearing comes up on Thursday, 6th June 2024, before Lusaka Resident Magistrate Trevor Kasanda. The 5 accused of seditious practices denied ever committing the offences which they were arrested for a week ago. However, opposition Citizen First President Harry Kalava has alleged that the incarceration of the political figures is a sign of lack of the rule of law in the country.
We had our colleagues who were incarcerated for more than 7 days. Our laws in this country say that one cannot be incarcerated for more than 48 hours before being presented before the courts. Then the lawyers will ask for habeas corpus to take the body of the individual to the courts. But even those things were failing. And it is sad because the UPND, before they came in government, they had promised that they were going to do things through the rule of law. They have not done that. They have remained hypocritical. And so when they begin wasting your time and my time talking about the rule of law, it is just that talk we should trash.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Okay, so that's a story there regarding Lumezi Independent Member of Parliament, Monia Zulu, and also Christian Democratic Party leader and President Dr. Pastor Danny Pule, who have been granted a bail pending trial in the sum of 150,000 kwacha for Dr. Pastor Danny Pule and 250,000 kwacha for Independent Member of Parliament, Monia Zulu. Now that's the story right there. And moving on, government has pledged to enhance the provision of quality skills in the country among the youths without fail. We do have a clip on this particular one. Then another story, the Northern Technical College in Ndola, Copperbelt Province, has experienced an unprecedented rise in student enrollment due to government's initiative aimed at boosting skills development across the country. We do have these 2 stories, and I will be going on that particular clip. But on the other side, you can come through and give your submissions. And the question that we are asking today is, did the presidential conference yesterday meet your expectations as a Zambian citizen out there? Did it address some of your concerns that you have as citizens out there? Please feel free to come through by dialing that number on your TV screen and giving us that particular submission. And also, you can still text us. There's the number on your TV screen. You can still text us, and we can have that interaction on our Facebook page, Camnet TV. Please feel free. We'll go on these particular stories. Join us on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Northern Technical College, Notek in Ndola District, Copperbelt Province, has seen its student population more than double due to the Constituency Development Fund CDF scholarship program. Notek is now attracting students from all constituencies of Zambia eager to gain technical skills. The college principal, Martin Kasonso, calls it a great milestone and unprecedented development in their history.
I'm glad to say that Notek has a population of about 7,000 students, and more than half of those are under the Constituency Development Fund sponsorship. This is a big milestone in terms of how we have seen the student get support from government, and the student population that we have here is cutting across all the provinces.
But it's not just about numbers. A verification team from Pemba constituency, led by Pemba constituency Member of Parliament Lameka Amwata, has confirmed that the CDF scholarship program is having a positive impact. They have inspected the college facilities, met with students from Pemba, ensuring that everything is running smoothly.
I'm here at NOTEC doing a head count just to make sure that the government resources are well utilized, and of course to ensure that our students, they are in an environment where they will get the necessary education that they require. I'm a very happy Member of Parliament to see the government programs being implemented.
And Pemba Town Council Secretary Samuel Chilombo is impressed by NOTEC's state-of-the-art equipment, which provides students with the tools they need to succeed.
From our finding, NOTEC has very good equipment for training. We are impressed with what we found on the ground, and also the lecturers are up to the game.
And the students have applauded government for according them the opportunity to acquire technical skills.
I'd like to thank the government for this given opportunity for me to be here at NOTEC. And looking at our background, my parents wouldn't be able to pay for school fees, but with this CDF program, I'm able to be at school again.
Chintunangamba, Fozani Sindola, Copperbelt Province.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with International Coalition of Fellowships (ICOF) aimed at enhancing skills development amongst vulnerable youths in the country. Speaking at the signing-in ceremony at Mulungushi Complex Center, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts Minister Elvis Nkandu says the MOU is in line with government's free education policy that aims at improving social inclusion and reduce inequality in the acquisition of tertiary education. Mr. Nkandu says the MOU will not only provide training but paid internship opportunities for students as they graduate from various programs the university is offering.
We have challenges, but I think this government has done a lot of interventions, and one of them is the one that we're addressing today. You can imagine a vulnerable family, vulnerable young person, the amount that is required for someone to go at the University of Zambia or any other college, that vulnerable family will not be able to find an amount that is required. Here comes an opportunity where we've partnered with colleges like this college and other colleges just to help us make some interventions. I always want to.
And ICOF Africa Campus Vice President Professor Charles Mwape says the institution currently has 207 persons with disabilities as students, ensuring that disability is not a barrier to learning.
Amongst the students that we have, Honourable Minister, we have about 207 students that are persons with disabilities who are doing social work and teacher education. These students, with your direction and with the support from the team from your ministry, we agreed that we ensure that they are learning without paying, not even the 900 kwacha. Because we want to ensure that disability must not be an hindrance for them to be integrated in society.
Meanwhile, Private Colleges and Universities Alliance Procure representative Dr. Lakson Banda has urged institutions to train its lecturers in technology so that they're able to detect plagiarism with the coming of artificial intelligence heavily used by students.
There's partnership between government and private learning institutions like ICOF
And this relationship between government and private higher learning institutions, we shall continue to unlock human capital development and potential of our many young people that loom in our streets who do not have money to pay for higher education in our country. Prevent further abuse by learners in your higher learning institution by making sure that you put in place measures to prevent plagiarism and also measures to prevent the abuse of artificial intelligence by making sure that every work that is submitted by students is put to a test so that we detect plagiarism at all levels, so that we do not produce professionals or people that graduate who are ill-baked, who cannot articulate issues using their own mind.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Okay, thank you so much for still joining us, and this is where unfortunately we need to wrap it up. Thank you so much to all the viewers that tuned in to this particular broadcast, and thank you so much for your text messages and for choosing us amongst many. We do not take that lightly. We do appreciate you. Now, on behalf of the entire production team, including my director, Mr. Isaac Chifita, I have been your host. Joe Smarter is my name. Until next time, bye-bye and God bless, and let love lead. Good morning.